Hi everyone, this is the Paradise Fibers frame loom. First we're going to look at the pieces that are included with your loom. We have 2 longer pieces, 2 shorter pieces. There are 2 pegs at the top and 1 peg at the bottom of these pieces. Next we have 2 warping pieces with metal pegs on each side and your heddle. We have 2 shuttles, a comb, and 4 wing nuts. And this is everything included with your frame loom. To get started putting your loom together, take the 2 longest pieces. Each one has a flat side and a curved side. Put your flat sides face down on your table about 10 inches apart. Next, take your shorter pieces. They also have a flat side and a curved side. You want to make sure that the side with 2 pegs are going to match the longer piece with the 2 holes. Same with the other long piece, that it will match with 1 hole. There's the flat side and the curved side. Match up the holes again. Take your first warping piece. You will notice that there is a notch in one side. The notch is going to go facing up on your loom. Your second warping piece also has a notch. This will go face down on the bottom. Insert your smaller pieces into the longer pieces of your loom. Slide the warping pieces into the notches. Take your wing nuts and screw them onto each corner of your loom. And here is your loom. Again, you will notice that the notches on the warping pieces are facing the bottom and the top of your loom. And now you are ready to start warping. Take your heddle and you will notice that on each end it comes to a slight point. You want these points facing down against your loom. A helpful tip when using the heddle is to wrap rubber bands around the heddle and then around the loom. This will help keep the heddle from shifting and sliding against the loom as you rock it back and forth. You want the heddle about 3/4 of the way up from your loom. This will give you a working space to weave. Wrap the second rubber band around the opposite end of the heddle. As you can see, the heddle will now rock up and down on your loom. To begin warping, take your warp thread and find the first notch on your loom. Put the warp thread through the first and second bottom notches and tie a double knot as tightly as possible. I like to also wrap it around again and tie a second double knot. Go ahead and give yourself some slack. You will notice on your heddle bar that there are notches that are deep or shallow. Put your warp string into the first notch. Depending on the way it's facing you, it will be a deep one or a shallow one, but it doesn't matter. You also want your heddle bar tipped facing away from you. Put your warp string in the first notch at the top and wrap it around the second notch. Bring your warp string down into the second notch of the heddle bar, which will be the opposite of the previous one, whether it is shallow or deep. Bring the warp string through the bottom warping piece of the second notch and back up through the third. Go in the third slit on the heddle bar, but put the warp string into the second top notch again. So you have 2 strings in the second notch. Go around into the third top slit and back down into the fourth slit of the heddle bar. Go down through the third slit again at the bottom. So once again you have 2 strings in the same notch. Go back up through the fourth and continue this pattern the rest of the way. Essentially you want 2 strings in each notch of the top and the bottom and 1 string in the heddle bar of each notch. Try to keep your tension as evenly as possible through this warping process. You'll begin to notice a pattern on your heddle bar of the strings being higher and lower. You will also have 2 strings in each notch except for the first 2 bottom ones will have 1 string. Continue with this pattern until you get to the end of your loom. Once you get to the last notch at the bottom of your loom, cut yourself a tail about 9 to 12 inches long. You're going to have extra notches at the end of your heddle, and that's okay. With your tail, go back up through the second to last notch at the bottom and tie a double knot. I like to go through again and tie a second knot, just for good measure. Now that your loom is warped, loosen the wing nuts at the top so your tension becomes loosened slightly. Keep adjusting until your heddle bar is easily able to rock back and forth. Check to make sure you have an even tension across your loom. You'll notice when you rock the heddle bar back and forth, it changes the position of your warp strings. They will move from the top position to the down position. And now you are ready to start weaving. Have fun!